What is going on, guys? Back inside the StreamYard studios once again for a very special interview. But before we get a chance to talk about that, we want to go ahead and send our shout outs to StreamYard. StreamYard is an amazing platform for you guys to get a chance to do as far as podcasts, interviews, or even business meetings. Head on over to StreamYard.com and get a chance to try your free version of the day. Also, let's go ahead and send some shout outs to our great friends at rmgfx1.com. They have some incredible gear. They have some amazing merchandise for you guys to check out. And of course, guess what? I am always thankful because they are amazing, they're wonderful, and they're incredible. So head on over to rmgfx1.com and get a chance to buy some Fighting Now gear. We haven't gotten a chance to really hype up the merchandise on Instagram, but we need to say the least. So if you want to buy some Fighting Now gear, head on over to rmgfx1.com and use promo code Fight Now to save 10% off your entire purchase. Now, let's go ahead and get a chance to send some shout outs to our favorite podcasters and to get a chance to recognize those that deserve to be recognized. And what? I got to tell you, all four of these are incredible, whether if it's the media or the podcasters or the individuals behind these things. They're wonderful. They're amazing. So let's go ahead and send a shout out to Mom's Basement MMA. You can head on over to Mom's Basement MMA and check them out on YouTube. They have some more interviews lined up for you guys, and if you guys want to get a chance to follow them on Instagram, head on over to Moms_Basement MMA to get a chance to check out the incredible stuff that they have in store for you guys. Also, next up, and I want to get a chance to recognize Liz with the Z podcast. They've been doing so many incredible stuff. I know Lisa Solar, who has been currently back out there, who's been interviewing fighters right after XFN 41. And I believe this is just going to be something incredible to see. So head on over to Liz with a Z podcast on YouTube, and of course check her out on Instagram, Lisa Solar Podcast or official Lisa with a Z podcast. Either way, though, head on over to Instagram or in YouTube to get a chance to follow them. Of course, next up, we got a chance to send a shout out to our great friends at Aaron Media Productions. Aaron Media Productions is having more interviews in store for you guys, and of course, recently they have pretty much got to 5K, 5,000 followers on Instagram, and of course they're doing many more interviews. So head on over to YouTube, head on over to Instagram, and of course head on over to Spotify, Google, or Apple Podcasts, whatever you listen to your podcast at, and check out Air Media Productions today. Last but certainly not least, and I can't stress this enough, we got to get a chance to send some love to Fight Bananas. Fight Bananas being run by incredible individuals. I know David Hawkins is a part of it, and I got a chance to ask him. I was like, "Hey, you mind if I get a chance to, shout y'all out on the interviews?" And they're like, "Yeah, absolutely." And Fight Bananas has been really awesome, really amazing people, and you just love to see it. David Hawkins has been working his tail off to cover so many fights out there. So I really feel like this could be really something incredible, something really awesome for you guys to get a chance to check out. And of course, hey, just get a chance to check them out. Fight Bananas on Instagram. Now that we got a chance to get that out of the way, we finally got a chance to be able to get a chance to make this happen. I've been waiting for this for quite some time, and one thing I can really tell you is Britain Hart Beltran is someone who has been making marks everywhere she goes, especially on the bare knuckle side. Now, Britain Hart is someone who you should not underestimate. She is someone who is probably you pretty much say she's like the OG along with Christine Fierro when bare knuckle allowed women to start fighting. And she was one of these women taking on Beck Rawlings. And of course, Bret Hart, she's just she's been someone who's been with the company since they allowed women to start fighting in there. So I am really excited to get a chance to listen to her journey, excited to get a chance to listen to see what's all in store for her. Hopefully we won't have any technical difficulties this time, cross my fingers. But if we do, then I'll figure out my best to get a chance to fix that. But nevertheless, though, I'm really excited. I'm very honored to get a chance to talk to Britt because Britt is a woman who is known for making history. She's known for being a part of these big situations that we have been seeing in all these bare knuckle fights today. And I really feel like, with Bret Hart, she is someone who you should not underestimate. She's someone who you should never doubt. I mean, before this fight that she had against Christina Vieira, she was on a winning streak. She took on Paige Van Zant back at the first Knuckle Mania and won it. And of course, she won against Jenny Savage and of course Pearl Gonzalez. But before we get a chance to have her on, let's go ahead and get a chance to do one quick advertisement, and we'll bring her on. All right, without any hesitation, help me welcome in the one, the only Miss Britain Hart Beltran.
Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, Jake.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good. I know I have to apologize and hold myself accountable. I'm so sorry I missed the 10 o'clock interview. Me
It's
fucking G's, and we drove from Virginia all night. I thought we were going to stop and sleep, and that way in the morning, business as usual. But we powered through it, and we got home at like 7 a.m. to our Miami apartment, and I just crashed. So, as you guys can
yeah.
see,
Oh man, but it's okay though. I'm just glad to get a chance to have you on, and of course, this is a different environment. This ain't the podcast that you got a chance to be part of it. This is pretty much my own solo stuff with the fighting now, and the one thing I can tell you is I've been looking forward to having this interview with you for quite some time. For those of you who don't know, we got a chance to talk to her a little bit before the big Knucklemania 2 fight was announced, and of course, now that we get a chance to have you on, we get a chance to listen to the stories. And of course, you also have some fan questions as well. So, and let's go ahead and get things started. You started off your journey into someone who didn't really think about becoming a bare knuckle fighter, but you also started off in boxing. I mean, how did that come about?
yeah, so I mean, I was always into traditional sports. I played soccer. I actually played in college. I went and got my sports management degree. So, I mean, when you guys see me in the sports world, it's not a show or fake. I mean, I'm passionate about just sports in general and what it can do for not only myself but just the people involved in it. You know how it unifies and people come together, regardless of their background. So that was always something that was really special to me.
Yeah.
So I knew I was going to be in professional sports. Like even when I was writing, like I entered like a lot of scholarships when I was going to college, and a lot of them had to like write papers to win awards. And a lot of my papers that won stuff was me setting my goals working in professional sports. Now I wanted to go the NASCAR football route. I didn't know it was going to be boxing, but hey, it's like life sometimes doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you need. And that's
Yeah.
what so I was on that course already, and then I hit a major roadblock in my personal life. I went through basically every hardship that you can imagine. I was in a really abusive relationship, and because of that, I got really put into the legal system um, early on, and I had to fight for all the things that are like nightmares in the world as far as like child custody, going to jail. I've actually been on 3 jury trials in my life, which is just 3 too many. So just like these most like bizarre, crazy things that you would like see in a movie. And then when I finally like just hit rock bottom, and it didn't start out that way. I was doing really good. I bought my own house when I was 22. So I was really, really doing good until around 25. And I lost everything. And sometimes I think that's kind of why it happened to me. Like everyone says, oh, there has to be a reason why. And sometimes in those moments, it's so hard to see why. But later on, so I can really be like a true testimony to that, because I wouldn't have gotten into boxing. I would have stayed in football and NASCAR. But because of that, losing everything just put you in a different perspective in your life. And I went to a boxing gym to kind of just find an escape, and I couldn't, I was on all sorts of things, color code. I was lost my license. So I was trying to stay from like drinking and drugs and all that stuff, and then obviously stay away from anyone who's gonna hurt me. So it kind of like just worked itself out to, oh wow, I need to, fight back for my life and get it back,
Yeah.
metaphorically and physically. So I went to a boxing gym, and I was having the worst money problems ever. And that's when my coach and manager at the time was like, you can use it, you can make money. And I was like, no way. Like, don't you have to be boxing your whole life to do that? And I found out the politics that that's not really the case. And even going deeper than that, that it's never too late to be who you want to be. If you want, you see some people that are 40 that just pick up boxing and are amazing at it. And so anyways, that's what happened to me. I was in a boxing gym. I had only had a boxing gloves on my hands for 4 months before I took my first pro fight, and it was a second round knockout. And right then and there, it was like everything was like, this is where I belong. This is what I was supposed to do. This is why all these bad things were happening. And it's finding something that's worth it, that gives you a purpose to know what you're fighting for. Where before I didn't really understand what I was fighting for. So I definitely had even bigger problems going into the boxing world. I was naive and young at the time too, and going through personal shit. And boxing, like they say, it's no joke. It's 80% mental. So if you're not mentally, there, it becomes difficult. So it was working through those problems. But I knew, there was just a lot of feelings and emotions, whether it was, for my own self, was for revenge. Boxing and fighting was very much very revengeful for me in my beginning of my career. And then I kind of, again, it was just roller coaster. I'd win and get my life back, and then it would crash down, and then I would go up, and then it would crash down. And it just kind of felt like this never ending cycle of, I'm never going to be good enough. I'm never going to be what these people want. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And like, I'm always falling short. And I basically was just doing it to keep myself safe. Like, for myself, like, really, sounds so crazy, but fighting for me was keeping me safe, because if I didn't have a fight, I was just so freaking lost in the world. When I had a fight, I was like, oh, I have to eat good. I have to eat healthy. I have to work out. I have to go to the gym. I have to show up every day. And it kept me really grounded. And, I met some amazing people on the way. And I feel like that was kind of part of the journey as well. Like, those people forever have changed my life. And some of them are still with me today and extremely important. And they're from all walks and all places. So
Yeah.
I really feel like that was, like, again, the hidden secret, what sets me apart from these other fighters and other people. And something that people used to criticize me. They're like, oh, she needs to stay one place. We can't keep up with her. She's in Philly. She's in Florida. She's in Cali. Where is this girl? And I think people were like criticizing me on not having a steady team, but now they can see, these teams, I'm not burning the bridges. You see, the same coaches pop up. It's just situation based, and they love me no matter what. And they just want me to do good, which I think is what's great in the world. And
Yeah.
then that going into bare knuckle, it was the same thing. Along my journey, I actually met the matchmaker. So I would have never gotten a bare knuckle. I don't would have never been on bare knuckles radar if I didn't actually know the matchmaker. I was at several shows, and I helped out. I did a lot of different things in the fight community because of my sport management degree. I was a ring girl, I was an event manager, I was a coach, I was a corner. I did everything behind the scenes. And I really pulled my own weight, and I feel like it got me noticed on a lot of people's radar just on my heart and the type of person I was. So when bare knuckle came out, the matchmaker reached out to me and wanted me to fight Beck Rollins, and I was like, absolutely not. Like, I know I need money, but I will find a different way to do it. I'm not gonna, sell my soul any more than I already have in my life. I want to do good. And that's when he was like, no, I'm not setting you up. This isn't, like, what you've been through. I really think that you can do this. And, this is what's going to give you the spotlight that you need. And I said yeah, and I went and I trained my ass off for it every day. I tell
Yeah.
everyone, like, I almost pretend like it was like the Hunger Games. Like, I'm this, poor girl from like 12th district, and here's Beck Rawlings, who's like bred and like the only goal is to kill people, cut their heads off, and then go back to like all the fame and riches and mansions and shit. But I mean, it got me noticed. It was a split decision. And I went back to boxing. As you guys can see from my record, I still was trying to figure out everything. And again, just that roller coaster, super roller coaster. I'd be up, and I'd be down. I'd be up, I'd be down. And even when I was up, I was still kind of down because I was fighting for pennies. I remember when COVID happened, I just started getting like really figuring it out. I was with an amazing team with the women of the Carolina Fight Life, and Carrie Flock took me under her wing, and we had amazing thing going. And we actually went around for the first time in my whole life. I still haven't done it, actually. This is the only time. We went and made fight posters and went to businesses and sat down and were like, hey, I'm a fighter, will you sponsor me? I mean, I was really getting a control of my career. And COVID hit. It was March 26th. I was supposed to fight, um and they canceled it, and I was like, crap. And then I lost my other fight, and then I lost another fight, and I was just like, man, this is not right. When I'm really ready to show people who I am, another obstacle. And someone offered me a 6 round boxing fight for $1,000, which everyone was like, don't, like, you're better than that, Britain, don't you dare take it. It was at 130. I don't know if people know this about me, but I walk around like 122. So this fight
Mhm.
was at 130, and they're like, no, do not do it. And I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, I can beat this girl. I'm ready. I can beat this girl despite the difference. And I went in, and even though I trained my ass off for it, I won. I won. It was an incredible win for me, but that was like the sacrifice. Like, I trained and spent so much of my time to make sure I got this win, and then I got the $1,000, which sounds great to a lot of people maybe watching. They're like, "Whoa, I go fight someone for $1,000." But then when you look at like all the training and time that you have to put into it and able to get that win, and then I had to pay my coach. I ended up giving my coach all of it because, and I should have, if I had more money, I really owe him more money because of the amount of time he put
Yeah.
into it, level of coaching. But that was all the money I had. So again, another obstacle. Here I am doing good, and I'm broker than ever. Like, I'm winning, and I'm have nothing. But that experience and that drive and that mentality, knowing I can do it, that's what was the valuable part. That was the investment in myself. And so when the Page fight came up, it was just in a natural, this is why. And so all that suffering and being broke and doing things even though everyone else said no, it paid off. And then I got that fight, which was at Mania 1. And then I went out to Puerto Rico and got close with Elvin. And then, me and Joey were already friends, and our relationship was really blossoming organically,
Yeah.
and everything was right. So then when we finally met up, I was like, they say you can't really love anybody until you love yourself. And I was just at that point. And then he came in. And then now, fast forward a year.
I was gonna say, I actually have something I wanted to show you, but real quick, regarding that, you actually have a comment in the comments, and it's from Trey from the Jay and Trey podcast. Him and Justin both wanted to say, "Hey, Brent, hope you're doing well." And of course, you talked about Joey. I'm glad you said that because I have something I wanted to show you. And what not too many people know is Joey Beltran is also a bare knuckle fighter, and this is how close you guys are. I'm gonna, yeah, if it'll pop up. This is this is before your fight at Knucklemania 2, and I'm telling you, whether if you see it on her Instagram or Joey's Instagram, you can see how much they love one another and how much they mean to one another. And that was something I wanted to ask you about was that, how do you both encourage each other, especially if on fight week for him or if you have a fight week? How do you guys, try to be able to encourage one another, especially if you guys had big fights that you guys have been having?
I know. I mean, I just wish people would give us like, it's like I don't want to ask for it, but I do. Like, I want like a pat on the back or a high five. Like, going through a fight camp is stressful on yourself, and then going through it together is just like kind of double. But me and Joey have been through 6 fight camps together that include me and him, and we've also helped somebody else with their, actually 2 other people. So we've gone through like 8 fight camps together, and I mean, wow, maybe I think that's why we are so close, because we really understand each other and what it takes to be a coach, what it takes to be a teammate, and what it takes to be a lover, a supporter, and a caregiver. And we both really like, we don't put each other higher. And it's really awesome because we're on that equal, we're really equals in this. When I'm coaching him, he listens to me. He's not like, you're a female, or I've been doing this 15 years longer than you, which is totally the case. He's so much more wiser and knowledgeable, more experienced, but he's always just so open. And then the same thing with me and him, he takes care of me and coaches me and pushes me. He does everything right next to me, which is, I can't even believe it. Like, even when I'm training and he doesn't have a fight, he's still doing the same thing. And likewise,
Wow.
like for his fight camp, his coach was like, you know, you do 5, and Britain, you only have to do 3 of these like monstrous hill sprints. And I was like, well, no, I'm going to do, I'm not going to let Joey do 2 more. I mean, that's hard as shit and suffering. I can walk away and be like, I'm going to watch him. I'm not in fight camp, but I do. And he does the same in return. And I think because of that, the trust and the like sacredness between our bond has been built. And we like aren't like jealous or envious or like anything of anybody else, but it's almost like me and him are um right there on like sharing to the world, like, man, everybody deserves to be this happy and like see and find what we have, because it's not hard. It's really not. It's just putting yourself in that other person's shoes 24/7. You don't get to, when you love someone and want to give somebody your all, you can't just pick and choose when you do it. And I think that's really what me and him have. And all the fight camps have been awesome. And it's unfortunate but also fortunate, we've won together and we've both now lost together, and sometimes some people can't handle that. And it's just been a really good test to our relationship that you have to stay the course no matter what. It's not, oh, everything's great when it's good, but it's awful when it's bad. It has to remain like that consistency. Like, like when he lost his fight, he was in the gym training me and giving me water every day. He didn't go run and hide. And then the same thing for me with this fight. It's been horrible, devastating. I mean, really, I would love to cry and bawl my eyes out every day and be like, man, I was so close to being the world champ and really leaving a legacy behind. But how unfair would that be to him being my partner and being there right there for me? So it's kind of like dust your shoulders off and know, hey, we have each other. And having that mentality has really just made our relationship to where we can get through anything.
That is very, very, very incredible to say the least because, you both, and I hate to bring this up, you both, like you mentioned, have had tough losses in y'all's bare knuckle career. And the fact that instead of just, putting your head down and crying or, just thinking about all this, you pretty much keep going. And I think we all need to recognize is that no matter how tough the battle is, if you lose, it's okay. You live to fight another day. And that's exactly what you and Joey are trying to be able to show everyone. It's like, does it hurt? Absolutely, it's gonna hurt. But the fact that you have him and he has you makes it all worthwhile. It makes it all worth the hell to go through to say, hey, I may not have won this fight, but I'm a winner at life because he has you and you have him. And I think that's something very, very beautiful. And shout out to Joey as well because it's like when you guys look at their social media pages, it's not just about the fight and stuff. They also show the beautiful family that they have, and I really do admire that. So I mean, I encourage you guys to go check them out and get a chance to follow along. And I want to bring up back to everything that you went through. You said life was like a roller coaster, and you went through the trials, you went through child custody, you went through so much. Did you ever think that whenever you look back at your life that was a stepping stone to close to greatness as you are right now? Because it seems like you're literally the definition of going through hell and back. Do you ever just want to be able to share that story and say, hey, it's okay to go through hell because I went through it and I fought it and I'm still here?
Yeah, I mean, it took me a while. It was one of those things earlier on in my life. I had a lot of issues, and I would have like my ways of like crying out for help or like just saying like, God, I need help. And it was almost like the opposite. Like the response I got was like, no, don't you dare tell people that. If people find out this, they're gonna do this. And if you say this, this is gonna happen. And I remember my friend was like, pushing me to go to counseling, like pushing me, like, you need to go, you need to talk to someone about this. And finally I was like, all right, I'll go. And I went, and I just remember talking to this counselor and her being like, well, I do have to report this and say something. And I'm just like, what? Like, you're going to like destroy my life by doing this. And I just remember leaving there being like, man, if I tell people really what's going on with me, it's hurting me. And then, as you can see on social media, even with my last fight, like with Christine, there was an interview clip that she put on. I try to like share my story. Like, I slept out of my car for a good long time. And I share that story just to like, not to have like pity or like, make anyone feel sorry for me, because my life, as you can see, my life is freaking awesome. Like, I love my life now. And I only sharing that story now to tell people that like, the beauty is in the struggle. You can figure it out, because I have been, rock bottom. Like, I've been there, trust me. And
Yeah.
I just only think that it's great to tell people, no matter where they're at, that they can really build themselves up, because sometimes it seems impossible. Anyways, I share that story, and then here's another clip with a person doing an interview, and the girl is like, yeah, Britain slept out of her car, but she's not telling you the whole story. She slept out of her car because her family didn't want her and nobody wanted her, and so she had no choice. And I was like, damn. And I remember hearing that, and that just being like, and even my husband, like Joey, was like, man, like, fuck that. Like, for people to attack you on that, like, that's kind of like what's wrong with the world. Is like, we tell each other our problems and say what we've been through, and then people like kind of try to turn it on you and use it against you.
Yeah.
And now, like, when my kids are 12 and 8, and they're getting older, but they're still, in like, you know in a young stage, and I'm still like mindful of that. I'm still very much like PTSD and scarred from a lot of the things and trauma that my own family put me through. And so for me to share or be open about some other things, sometimes I'm just like, why bother? Because they'll just use it as ammo against me, and it could like tarnish. I'm always super petrified of my kids. And people don't get that story. Sometimes people are really hateful that way. They're like, oh, she just left her kids and blah blah blah, and she's out living her best life while their kids are back in Virginia. And it's like, it really hurts. It really, really does. But I just have to learn to ignore it and know that a lot of those things, my kids are with their dad, and a lot of those things were really like, really mean and spiteful. Like, they forced and try to keep me away from them, and try to make all these other problems, to where me protecting them, in my mind, not now, but back then, in my mind, they really conditioned me and triggered me to think that I was hurting them by being around them, and that they were better off without me. Like, my family really made me believe that. And so by me leaving my kids and moving out of state, it was because I was like literally going to kill myself, being 10 miles from my kids and not being able to see them, not being able to, I could tell you like the most like horror, like trenching stories. Like, I used to coach my son in soccer, and 8th season I coached that kid. And when all this shit happened, they came and told me I couldn't. I was a volunteer coach for the YMCA, and someone called and made a report on some stuff that wasn't true. So it's not even like, oh man, like, I brought this on myself. It was stuff that wasn't true. That was just super dangerous situation I was in. Like I said, with my ex-husband, he was like, if you do this, I'm gonna tell people you do this. If you leave me, I'm gonna go and do this. And he would come by, and it was like all sorts of crazy shit. Like, the guy was a complete psychopath, and like, would threaten me with stuff like that. So I always kind of, out of like fear, try to like make things look more normal than what they really were. And anyways, because of that, the YMCA, they told me I couldn't coach soccer anymore. So how embarrassing is that? I can't be a volunteer coach for my son, which I've done 8 seasons in a row. But I was like, you know what, I'm gonna still show up and support him and be there no matter what. And I sat there, and I remember a parent seeing me, and they're like, you better get your ass out here. We don't know what we're doing. And you're a college soccer player who like earned, like, got MVP and is really good. I'm really good, and I'm a really great coach, and I really know how to teach soccer. And they're like, get out here. And I was like, no, no, no. I'm not going to say, oh, I got kicked or banned from coaching, because, that hurts to say. But they're like, no. So I get out. I'm like, oh, okay. So I start helping. YMCA staff comes in front of everybody in my community and is like, no, 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 she can't be out here coaching. And I mean, you guys can imagine. You really have no idea the amount of pain like reliving that moment does for me. And it was really at a lot of my family's doing, for the reason why that really escalated to get that bad. And it was like, man, if you're trying to support some girl who's trying to figure her life out and get her kids back, like, doing that was like one of the most hurtful, mean, spiteful things I think you can do to somebody. Whether you're like, even if the things were true, say I was an alcoholic, or say I was, addicted to, heroin and meth. Say that was the case. The fact that I'm at a soccer game, showing up and able to get up and teach kids, like, if anything, that's like a thing that like, oh, this is good for somebody, and would also obviously be a huge sign that this person isn't on those things, because people don't do that. They sit at home and stay in bed, and they're out of it and hungover, withdrawals, or whatever the case may be. But it hurt. And so because of that, I felt like they were better without me. And I was starting to really start to lose it, at the end of those years. So anyways, I left, and now that the things are like kind of pacified, I'm way better. This was last Christmas was the first Christmas I got to spend with my son in 5 years. And so things are going better and picking up. But at the same time, I still have a lot of fear. I still have a lot of walls up in my head on some of the things that I could say and talk about. But I try to, and I feel like more like empowered, and I feel like more courageous every day, because when I do say these things, um as much as they hurt myself, and as much as like they create like, oh, why did I say that, like, just keep your mouth shut. Somebody will message me and be like, wow, I heard your thing, and then you helped me with my own drug addiction, you helped me with my alcohol, you helped me with, I had this girl send me, a scar on her neck where her ex-husband actually cut her with a knife, and she survived through it. And just being
Wow.
able to talk to those people and know that we're, not alone, has been, you know, something so important to my life. And it kind of like helped me with talking to my coach. And this is a really sad thing to say, but a very true and powerful thing is like, if you really want to be a hero and change the world, it doesn't start with, just your family. Like I always say, oh, I'm going to do everything I can to give a better life to my kids. Like, I'm going to do this for Peyton and Paris. And I love them so much, and they're my whole world. But, you got to think that's only two kids in the whole world. And two kids that really honestly don't have it nearly, actually, they have a great life, even with or without me. They have a wonderful life. And there's some kids that don't have that. They don't have food, and their parents beat them, and they cuss at them and tell them to get their ass up, or they're going to get beat, and all these horrible things that I've witnessed other people do to their children. And it's like, why can't I go out there and be better for all kids, not just two? And not just, I just want to be a motivation and do it for my husband. Why can't I do it for everybody out there? Oh, I'm going to do this for my best friend. Why can't I go to do it for the hundreds of people who don't even have one single friend out there? And
Absolutely.
to me, I sometimes it sucks and it hurts, because I have to end up losing face with my own family. I lose face with my own children. But I feel like in the end, they understand and they know why. And because they know why, I go to sleep every night. Great. I really do. I know when I die, I don't have anything to be ashamed or worried about, because I know all the things, even like me going to jail. When I went to jail, that was me taking the rap for somebody else. That was me saying and not, saying what I should have. That was me trying to whitewash things. And, I had my consequences for it. But at the end of the day, it's like, if I could go back in time, I mean, I wish I would have been smarter, but, faced with the same decisions, I know I didn't do anything malicious or evil. And I know the things that did spiral out of control. It's like, man, like you got to give yourself some grace in what you were exactly going through. And we're
Yeah.
only human. And at the end of the day, I know that. And when I talk to my kids, they know that. And I see the same thing. I see the same thing in myself and them. And I really think that that's why I see them be so incredibly sweet to other people. I see them be beyond giving and nice to um, strangers. Even with Joey, we stop when we see people on the side of the road and give them, the money that we have in our wallet, and just seeing those little changes in the people around me. I know that, somewhere it's because of me and because of like motivating and doing that I'm really
Yeah.
where I need to be.
Yeah. Well, real quick, before I can get a chance to go on, you also have another comment, this time from Justin, and he says, "Can't do it for others unless you can do it for yourself." That's what he said. And I will say this, and I don't think I'm pretty sure Justin has told, or not Justin, but Joey has told you this. Many people have told you this, but I think you need to realize that you are so incredible for the story that you have, for the fact that you get a chance to just let it out, and it's an honor. It's an honor the fact that you feel comfortable to get a chance to open up to, especially with how much you went through, and the fact that you have a story, you have the chance to say, yo. I've not been the best mom, but I've done the best I can, and I'm still showing that each and every possible way that I possibly could. And I like the fact that you talked about you try your best to be nice, to kind to other strangers. It don't matter what you do. If you see someone on the side of the road that needs money, you and Joey just give them money, and it's like whether if it's out and no matter what you're doing, or even on social media, if someone if you see someone but nobody to talk to, you just be like, hey, how are you doing? Little conversations can make a really big impact, and that's something that I really try to make, not only for myself but for other people, because when I see anybody on Instagram, I try to my best to make a show that, hey, you're awesome, I hope you have a great day, sort of that stuff. And the fact is that you're trying to do that is simply incredible. It's simply amazing enough as it is. And I really feel like, at least now you can look back, think about everything. You going to jail, you having the child custodies, all that was a part of the hell that you went through. But now you can say, hey, I have an amazing husband, I got my kids, and yet I have something that people can look up and be inspired for. The problem with the world is that people are going to try to twist things, and no matter how much you open up, no matter how much you talk about it, it's the fact is that you want to be able to share a story. I don't know if you saw a couple of days ago, I shared my story on Instagram. I was a little bit skeptic because of the reaction, but when I did, I mean, it was just like you had so many people that loved and care about you, and it's incredible. Real quick, before I continue along, Justin says it's awesome. Not everyone has the guts to share the story, and that right there is an inspirational in life to take care of one another. And I definitely do agree with what Justin is saying. So I will tell you this: you are an awesome mom. You're an amazing fighter, and I am proud of you. And I know you're going to keep continuing this. I have a question, and I hope you don't mind me asking. But and if you feel comfortable opening this up to me, you're more than welcome to. But if not, I understand. So you talked about the mental games. Me myself, I've struggled on the mental part, and I'll admit this. How did you overcome what was going through your mind? Because there has been a lot that went through your thoughts. The stuff that you thought about, stuff that you shouldn't be thinking about. How did you overcome this?
Well, I guess I would have to say like at what part in my life, because I feel like every time it was probably a little bit different. But I think to give like a general like let's see, like to overcome it. Um, I think really it goes to, well, the best thing I could say is like in life, I think that 80% mental, but like it's 80% like mental is like 80% showing up. So if you show up and you're there, I feel like you really put yourself, okay, well, here it is. Like for example, one fight I had my corner, literally as we're driving 2 hours before I fight, he throws out my shit and says, go find yourself another corner. Because I told him he was stressing me out for finding a part. It was something so small, minute. And he threw my stuff out and was like, go find yourself a corner. I'm like, oh my God, please, please don't do this to me right now. Like, I'm going to get, like, I'll give you $600 to just come in here, be peaceful, and then we can leave. And they're like, nope, fucking figure it out, and drove off. And I was like, I mean, I could have ran right then and there. And I'm telling you, I was not in the mental capacity whatsoever to fight. But I showed up and I went in there and, you know, like that's just who I am. Like I have my heart on my sleeve, and I'm a really bad liar. And so I went in there and I told the promoter, I was like, look, I signed my name on that piece of paper. This is what just happened to me. I don't have anybody, but I know I made a commitment to show up here and fight this girl. Hey, can you give me somebody corner? And he just looked at me like, whoa. And yeah, the fight totally didn't go my way. It really didn't. But crazy enough, still people thought they're like, dude, that girl's fucking tough as shit. Like, who are you? And it didn't work out. But in the other fights, I took on a 4 days notice, and I'm like, damn, I'm really not fight ready. I'm literally watching Shark Week eating donuts. I'm like a regular guy too. I'm not anything special. And I'm just watching Shark Week eating donuts. And like, yeah, you want to fight in Vegas 4 days? I'm like, no, I really don't. But they were like, come on, this is on Roy Jones Jr. card and it's on TV, which probably should be more reason not to do it. But I was like, I ended up like, I don't even know. I put my foot in my mouth on it, and then I had to again do what I said. So I ended up showing up there like, fuck, I met another stranger and I got a draw. I got a draw against a girl who's 5-0 on a 4 day,
Wow.
who's now, shout out to Jamie Mitchell, who's now like a world champion who won a belt. So, and her only blemish on her record is me. It wasn't a loss, but a draw is still kind of. So
Yeah.
that's really honestly the best, like most down to earth answer I can give as far as like, yeah, I listen to motivational things. I listen to songs, sometimes I cry, in private and just cry and just be like, oh, let me do this, please. And but really I just show up. I show up and I really try to like trust and think like, hey, I've been in some life or death situations before and didn't get knocked out and didn't go unconscious. I've been in some really big bangers and I came out a lot, I made it. So I think just having that like lack of, like, whatever's going to happen is going to happen, just go in. And so I just show up. And then once I get in there, really your adrenaline, like even with this last fight, I'm so like slightly disappointed in myself because I worked on some things that really would have beat this girl in training, and we worked on it and we worked on it, and then when you go in the ring I didn't do it, and I'm like, man, like, and it just goes to show like you can work and practice and train as hard as you can, but if you gotta be able, like when you get in the ring you have to be able to use that part of your brain and to you do what you're expected to. And sometimes when you're getting hit, like it's good and bad because then you just go into what you know is best, and like you go
Yep.
into autopilot. You're not so much thinking as much anymore. And I've definitely gone back and forth with that. I will say I haven't quite figured it out, which is exciting to you guys because now you know that you have much more to look forward to from Britain in the fight world.
Absolutely.
I still haven't figured it out as far as, sometimes I go in there and I think too much. And my critique is always like, oh, when I leave the fight, I'm like, I overthink it. I should have just gone in there and been me and pop, pop. I shouldn't have been like, oh, now I double jab and now I do this and now I step to the right. I shouldn't have done that. I should just go in and be me. And so in this last fight, yeah, that's what I did. I was like, so then I go and I'm like, I'm just gonna be me. I'm gonna go in there. I got this. I'm trusting me. And then when I go in there and do it, I'm like, man, why didn't I think it through? Think do stuff. So it's kind of finding that like balance.
Yeah.
It always makes me feel better because like even with me now, like freaking sucks I lost, but I am not, I don't have a broken jaw. I don't have a broken nose. I don't have broken hands. Me and Joey are talking about training tomorrow. I got a couple stitches in my face. They don't look that bad right now. It's only been a week.
No.
And so it kind of gives like, hey, when I go in there, whatever is going to come is going to come. You just really got to dig deep and find a way around it and be able to kind of feel the emotion and then think it through. But hey, it's just practice, practice. You don't get it right every time.
Absolutely. And the more I think about this is that it's kind of crazy. And this is just something I thought about it once when you start telling the story is like a woman who pretty much went through hell to a woman who now today got a chance to make history, compete in the first ever bare knuckles women's flyweight championship fight. And before that, I mean, you had an incredible role. You took on Paige Van Zant, Knucklemania 1. You had Jenny Savage. You had Pearl Gonzalez before this fight. And then the last time we got a chance to talk to you, the fight wasn't even announced. The fight didn't even happen. And then here it is. Britain Hart, Christina Fiera get a chance to fight it out, which in a fight that was 3 years in the making, and then you get a chance to make history. So yet, before the fight happened, how much did it mean to you to say that your name is going to be on the history list to say, hey, you got a chance to be a part of history by competing for the first ever bare knuckle women's flyweight championship? Did that ever cross your mind before the fight happened?
Yeah, it did. It meant a whole lot to me. And I really wasn't even like, you know, and it sucks, but I really believe, again, I'm like, I wasn't even looking at that. I was already like, I'm gonna be the next world champ. This is it. Like, I really did believe it, and it meant everything to me. And I really felt like I needed this to kind of like just cap off my legacy. Like, if anything else happens after that, it's whatever. But this would have been the cap of it. And so it does hurt that it hasn't been capped, but I guess maybe like again my earlier story, it happened for a reason. Maybe they knew it if I got the belt that would be good enough for me, and I would, you know, end up going off into the sunset and living out the rest of my life. And maybe they knew, hey, that's not, we don't want this girl's story to be over. So if she wins the belt and it's a story over, we got to keep her in a little longer. So I don't know. I really think that the history part, it's cool that I guess you can look at it as, oh wow, I was there and competed for it. I definitely wanted to win more than I cared about just competing for it. But hey, that's another positive. Like, you're right. Like, I can be so sad and sound so silly and stupid saying, oh man, I didn't win the fight. But just think how many girls didn't even get that fight and didn't even get that platform, who've never fought for a belt before, who are begging to fight for a belt. And so I got that spot and was all there. And it was an awesome experience. So yeah, you're right. It is really cool, and I love that people thought it was a great fight. I was really hoping at very least it would get fight of the night. Um, but it seems like everyone who watched it, it was like nothing but love from both sides of the spectrum, and at the end of the day, like, I'm really trying to be the best fighter ever. My time of being undefeated, like, that's not ever gonna, that's gone. So there's no real struggle in the fact of being like something I just have to be an awesome fighter and one of the best fighters. And it seems like I'm really doing a great job at that because everybody loved the fight. And, no one said anything bad, which is crazy. And then, yeah, so it's a job at the end of the day, and I love my job. And then they say if you really want to be successful at things, you got to find something you love and do it. And I love fighting. I love being with my husband every day. I love training with him every day. So, and the grand scheme of things, yeah, you're right. I got to go on a show and do what I love and get paid for it, and then at the end of the day, walk away and go back to a family and say, oh, well, you know what, back to the quarterly goals and training, and what's next.
Well, you know what? If there's something I really feel like that this should have happened, I kept telling Justin this on the Jay and Trey podcast is that this should have been the main event in my opinion because this should have been the main event. Don't no disrespect to the fights prior to it, but I really feel like make this a very historic night to say that hey, a women's flyweight championship is on the line for the first time ever, and the main event, you and Christine. And I will say this. That was a tremendous fight from both of you girls, and I really feel like the best is yet to come. And I love how positive you are. No matter how much it sucks to lose, at the end of the day, you're still going. You might have stitches here and there, but that never kept you down. And I really, really do admire that. And and I know that you and Joe are going to be training tomorrow, and I wish y'all the best of luck to say the least. But is there any opponent you have in mind after this fight? Is there anyone you have in mind next?
Uh, you know, I kind of like still haven't figured that out yet. And it's been part of like, so thank you to everybody who's been really helping me with that mental process, because I was kind of like, I don't really want to fight again unless it's for the belt. I want the belt at 125. Other than that, I'm not interested in anyone. And that was probably a wrong way to think. And then I was like, I want to go to 115, and I am fight at 115 because again, like, she not that I'm complaining, I knew it. And like I said in previous things, like I've known people are bigger than me, but I'm walking around 125, and I post a picture of me weighing 125. That's what I weigh. I don't cut weight to fight
Yeah.
at bare knuckle. And then that girl's posting a picture weighing in at 140. And it's like, so I don't care. I'm not complaining about it, but I just want people to see, like, when they're like, wow, Britain lacks power, or Britain couldn't handle their power. It's like, no, like what you guys don't get is that I do have power and I can handle it, so I can, but it just looks different when you're looking at someone who's 20 pounds heavier. Like, of course, when you go and lift weights and you're lifting to 10 pounds, you can pump it out. But you put 30s in your hand, and all of a sudden, are you a weakling? It's just 20-pound difference. But see, that's kind of what you guys were looking at. So, I'm trying to, like, what do I do to overcome the obstacle? Do I go and like try to beef up and get to 140? I don't like that. I don't. People preach it to me all day long and be like, you need to put more muscle on, you need to put this on. And I'm like, why do I like who I am? I love my body, and I don't want to go and change it and alter it if I can't even really do that. And it's gonna be like a false objective, because I'm one of those people that my life for the last year, if you guys haven't noticed, I train every day, and I don't have like a physique. I'm a mom, I have two kids. My body's just like doesn't, like, some people freaking eat cheeseburgers and fries and milkshakes every day and they have a six pack. I mean, more power to them, but it's just what you look like and what your body can handle is sometimes different. And so for me to go and change who I am and change how my body looks to be competitive, I feel like that's changing who I am. And so for me, I feel like I move better being like lighter, because I tried 135 one time. And when I was
Yeah.
135, I felt slow and heavy and sluggish. I didn't like it. And so, it's just all these things that go in my head of like, all right, well, I could do that and fight 125, or I could go at 115 and be beast and kill everybody at 115. That would be cool. I think that that's really my best. But hey, 115 is hard to find, and I find that out in boxing because even in boxing, I always try to fight 116, and the girls always canceled like last minute, come up with excuses. How, like, man, I've had like 5 fights canceled in my life, and they were all at 118 or 116. But then 122, 126, that's where it's at. And that's where the weight classes are. And those girls are cutting from like 135, 140. So, yeah, I don't know. I think boxing, I'm inactive in boxing right now. It's been over a year since I've boxed. So I would really like to be more, become active in boxing. So I
Yeah.
would really love to take a gloved match. I really want to do that. And then I really just want to win a belt, is really just my like only mission on what's next. So whoever is going to get me there, like whoever, I've obviously have no problem fighting anybody and everybody. And, whatever the adversity is, I'll find a way to figure it out or overcome it or do my best. So it's not a really matter of who I want to do next or what I want special. It's like whatever option is presented to me that gets me closer to winning this damn belt is really what I want. So,
Mhm.
however I have to do it, I'm prepared. And I think having that mentality will be better than me saying, oh, because what's fighting Rachel Ostovich going to do? I don't know. What's fighting Taylor going to do? I don't know. They're not going to give me a rematch against Christine, you know.
No.
So, you know, and then 115, there's a couple fights that have been there, and I haven't fought there yet, so maybe that would be like super cool. I feel like it'd be really marketable to be like, oh wow, Britain's going down to 115. How is she gonna do in this weight class? And I don't know. I just
I
love
mean,
what I do, and that's all that matters. So whatever I have to do.
There's something I always think about is that even though, someone may have held a championship, it's how you handle it that kind of what makes you your own champion. And so the way that you handle this after you fought pretty much makes you your own champion because you didn't pout, you didn't cry. I mean, you understood completely. You understood that, hey, I mean, it's in the game. It's in this business. Heartbreaks are going to come, and how you handle it is what's going to define you as the person, and how you handle this defies you. And I'm really am proud of you because yeah, it might be heartbroken, it might be tough, but the fact that you have an incredible supporting system is to help you with that is incredible. And I really feel like, and I'm hoping, I'm crossing my fingers on this, that a 115 bout could come up your way soon. I really hope that. And real quick, you do have some fan comments or fan questions, might I add. And so this person, Hannah, who pretty much is one of your big fans, she said she wanted me to ask you, what is your favorite thing to do when you have a break?
Uh, and Hannah from Canada,
I
she's, I think, well, if it is, I know, and I'm sure she is. She's one of my biggest fans, and man, what an inspiration! So I want to say thank you, Hannah, for just being so awesome and just so supportive. Like I said, she's in from Canada, so near, far, wherever you can be right there and change a difference and make a difference in someone's life. But yeah, what do I do in my downtime? Well, right now, me and Joe have been like binge watching Master Chef, so that's kind of funny little fun fact. Like, who would have thought? But we've been watching the hell out of some Master Chef. So now we're like into like maybe cooking. We did the whole vegan route, so we like trying new recipes and doing different stuff. But we really still like in the like last 2 years of my life, any of my downtime has been in the gym, whether we call it just piddle paddling around. But I'm still there. And then at home, I love watching movies. I'm a big movie freak. I don't really like TV shows or series as much, even though I told you I'm watching MasterChef. But I love watching movies. I'm like big, huge movie fanatic.
Yeah. Well, next question you had was from Sarah, and she said, "What made you want to do bare knuckle instead of just regular boxing or even Muay Thai?"
Yeah, so I didn't. I didn't want to do bare knuckle. They asked me once and I turned them down nicely. And they asked me twice and I turned them down nicely. And then they asked me a third time. And I finally kind of lost my shit. And I was like, look, I don't care how much you pay me. I'm not doing this. And they were like, they really made me believe that again. They were like, look, Britton, you are underestimated star power. Just people don't know who you are. When they find out who you are, they're gonna fall in love with you. And you just need to, this is a really big platform. You're going to be getting the main event. Like that's crazy. Like as a female, like really, that's kind of what did it. If it would have been like the undercard, I would have probably said no. I'm gonna stick with boxing. But it was like dangling a carrot in front of the rabbit's face. Like you're gonna be the main event as a woman in combat sports on TV against a well-known name. I was like, okay, I can do it. So I really got sold into it that way.
Well, in case you guys want to get a chance to follow her on Instagram, here it is at Team Britain Beltran. She also has TikTok as well. I got a chance to follow her on TikTok at Team Britain Beltran as well. Britt, is there any final comments you want to say before we get a chance to end the interview?
No, I would just want to say thank you. I mean, it's kind of like pretty cool. This interview's been kind of pretty cohesive on a particular message, and I want to say for you, I know that this interview is stemmed because you were one of those people that were always posting pictures and being like super supportive on what can I do to help and get you out there. And I noticed it for a long, long time ago, and I was like, wow. And I remember messaging you and being like, man, thank you so much for doing that or saying that post or taking your time out of it. So I remember that relationship being built months and months ago. And so now you can see it grow and blossom to like where this is my first interview post fight. Um, so it really does pay off to be nice and to be kind, even if you don't get like an immediate return. So thank you because you've definitely made an impact in my life. Seeing your posts always make me smile and make me feel really good. So you can do that to anybody. So just want to shout that out to everybody again. Make sure you give us a follow and just keep following along because big things on the horizon.
Amen. And real quick, and I gotta say thank you so much for the kind words. I remember the first time we got a chance to talk, I was like, like I like we didn't even talk. I was like, I'm gonna make something for her. I want to make something for her to try to get her name out there, as well deserved. Because I remember I was like, when I got into bare knuckle, the first person I saw was you. I was like, you know what? I think I want to get a chance to make her a shout out. I want to make her a shout out page. And then you followed me, and all of a sudden it's like, we got a chance to talk a lot. You got a chance to do the Jay and Trey podcast interview. And the fact that, you chose me as your first interview post fight is definitely an honor to say the least because, I don't really deserve it to get a chance to have it. No, I'm serious. I'm serious because I'm not worthy of get a chance to interview such an amazing fighter like you are because the platform for fighting now is for all fighters. I kept telling people, I don't care if you're in bare knuckle, if you're in MMA, amateur, pro, this platform is for all women's fighters out there. And the one thing I wanted to do was make sure that, hey, you were the first bare knuckle fighter to get a chance to be a part of the Fighting Now side. So, if anything, I really do appreciate the friendship that we have, and I really do appreciate everything that you're doing because you really inspire many people, myself included, with your story. And I think looking back on this is that the fact that you got a chance to open up to me is really incredible. And I'm honored, and I'm very, very honored. And I feel like the best is yet to come for you. The best is yet to come for Joey. And I feel like, you're going to do great things throughout the rest of the year. And I believe in you, and I'm pretty sure all of your fans are going to believe in you.
Oh, thank you. Absolutely. It's all we need.
Exactly, exactly. Hey, once again, good chance to follow her at Team Britain Beltran. Britt, this was an incredible interview. I hope you had a great time, and I will definitely get a chance to send you the link if you want to get a chance to watch it afterwards. All right?
Awesome. Thank you so much.
No problem. See you
Yeah.
later. That was Miss Britain Beltran, y'all. I did not expect it to be this long, to say the least, and it's really awesome. I really do appreciate the fact that I was the first post fight interview, and it feels weird to say the least because it's just amazing. It's just really amazing to say the least, and I feel like in my heart this was awesome. This was definitely awesome. The kind words can definitely help you bring up, and she definitely has a story that she shared, and what more can you say? But before we get a chance to hop off the air, let's bring you guys to one more advertisement, and we'll get a chance to hop off the air. All right. You guys can get a chance to check out Steve Barber and Dwayne Davis on Armchair Booking. If you guys are a wrestling fan, head on over to Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and of course TikTok and Twitter as well. But that is all the time we have for you guys on this incredible interview with Brett and Hart Beltran. It was an awesome one. Really got a chance to talk to her. It was just incredible, and I feel happy with the more interviews that is yet to come. We have Christine Vicens that's going to be joining me on this coming Wednesday. We have Serena De Jesus, and of course Thursday. As announced now, Savannah is going to be joining me. Savannah Graham is going to be joining me this coming Thursday at 5 o'clock, and of course on the Jay and Trey podcast we have Kate Clemens. So we have a huge amount of interviews. It's going to be stacked. It's going to be filled. So I encourage you guys to make sure to follow me at the Fighting Now and get a chance to check out all the other social media platforms. But hey, y'all, until then, I am Jake from the Fighting Now saying so long, and I hope you guys have a great week.